What's up,
ladies and gentlemen?
We just finished
Chak
watching Chak de India. Let's go, India.
Shamiti Amin, director, Kabir Khan, coach of a women's hockey team. First off, I'd like to say I had no idea this was a sport. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be honest.
We learned something
You
today.
didn't know I did.
I've never watched.
We've never
the
seen
field
this.
hockey type.
When we hear hockey, we think of ice hockey.
skates.
Yeah.
And,
so this was This was a nice surprise. So we learned something new. It wasn't
was
ice
completely new.
To be fair, we play something very similar called broom ball in the winter.
We do.
But that's also on ice, but
also on ice.
In shoes instead
of
ice
this
skates.
To me was I think the closest is actually soccer.
Yeah.
There's
with
one
the rules
goalie. Yeah, it's very soccer-esque. A lot of the rules seem to be the same. You just you have a stick instead of your feet. I think.
Very similar.
But it did look very fun.
Yeah,
we have very similar games like this. This particular game though, we just have never really seen done a lot. So it was interesting.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was pretty cool how they, how the plot went along and like just the team, how it was all disoriented at first, and then like they slowly banded together as a team.
Right.
And it was a good story overall. I thought it was pretty interesting. It was entertaining, and like it did have a lot of the story beats of
which we talked about
sports
at the beginning.
movie.
We did. Yep.
But I thought it definitely kept my interest. The whole movie, and like the cinematography was good, and it like during the games it was really interesting. Like I wasn't bored during the when they would show
fun to watch.
And shots of the games.
I think too. This is a family movie, by the way. Too definitely a family movie to watch.
I would say.
I also liked how there was a lot of screen time for a lot of different characters and a lot of different character motivations and arcs and stuff that happened. And I think that while there were a lot, I think they were able to each have their own appropriate amount of screen time.
I think they balanced that really well.
It wasn't
16 girls with unique backgrounds.
But it wasn't like overly. I thought at least it wasn't overly weighted onto one girl character particularly. I thought it was pretty well spread out with different characters, and they each had their own journey. And I think that they showed that in a reasonable amount of time.
I agree.
That they could. Now they were dealing with a lot of characters, so some parts did seem longer, but that's what I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it was definitely hit most of the standard story beats of a comeback. You start in the dumps, and then you end up
the winner
on top of the world theoretically. But it was a nice vindication for the coach. Khan, because he had gone out in his career with such a
horrible defeat.
Horrible defeat, and then also ruined his life too. So this was definitely vindicating because he was able to go back. Go back and to his home, and so I think it was a good story arc in that regard. And I'm always wondering, too, with how things went in the movie, how close were they to the original story? That's always kind of the question.
I don't know if this is a real story.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure.
Because I would be curious because what they didn't show was any of the scrimmages in India itself. They just focused on the world's.
They did skip over that whole part of it where they would be playing other teams in India. I don't know. Inspired by the real team. Okay. So
it was inspired by their win at the 2002 Commonwealth Games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's definitely
it's kind of
it's not
based.
it's
because
very
even in this story, I didn't see any like based on a true story. So I think they're honest about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
How as some American movies are like based on a true story, and it's not even.
But this so inspired. Let's just say inspired by a true story.
Right.
The thing was there wasn't too. So there was a little bit of character development, but a little bit of character development. They didn't really go too deep.
You mean for the coach's character?
Yeah, pretty much everyone's character wasn't incredibly developed. And so I would have preferred a little bit more because you weren't able to really grasp hold of. I mean, the coach's his character was pretty well done. But everyone else, it was very surface level.
I mean, I think it was more kind of showing where they started and then how they started working as a team.
Right.
I don't think the focus was like on like, oh, let's show every person individually like changing. Even though they did, I felt like they kind of did show that with like the one girl and her boyfriend, and then like they each in their own ways. The one girl who was always angry.
Yeah, they had the small character arcs.
So like they had like small stuff like that throughout the movie. But yeah, I think it was like it focused more on the team aspect of it. But yeah, you're right. There wasn't a lot of like character development.
Right.
But for like, I don't know how much there needs to be in a sports movie.
I think it was interesting as a sports movie. We have said this before. We're not huge fans of sports movies, I don't think. I really did like Bog Milk Bog.
Yeah.
And I think I liked it better than this movie.
I think I did too, yep.
And I don't really know why.
Well, there's more humor, I think.
Well,
yeah, and it was showing more of his personal life too.
Yeah.
It wasn't all the sport itself. It was there was a lot more behind it. Of his personal life. This was focused on the games a lot.
Right. So, because this was more of a story of a coach wanting like to get vindicated for losing a game, whereas Bog Milk Bog was
his whole life.
It was
like
him.
His whole life story.
His family got like killed, and it's like the stakes.
It was definitely more.
He had more.
Yeah.
He was doing more. Yeah.
This is very straight. This movie is extremely straightforward in terms of the structure. It's just, hey, get a bunch of ragtag people, and not in a negative sense, but just more complex characters. These women need to learn how to work together. Yeah. And then, I mean, that's a very standard story. Yeah. That's a very, very standard plot point in sports stories. So
I know. That's why we kind of are. It's hard to.
We've seen it before.
It's hard to make them unique because it's a Brown to something that has just a very similar logistical beat to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but that's not to say it didn't execute what it had in front of. I mean, what the storyline. It was well executed.
And the acting was great. I thought it was good all around. So yeah, that was a huge plus. But yeah, the sports movies aren't like necessarily my favorite. I mean,
I love the Mir Khan one. That one's my favorite Indian sports story thus far.
Dangal.
Sure. Which one?
Dangal.
Oh, okay. I like Milka Beg.
I did too.
Okay.
Better,
interesting. I like the story with his daughters.
That was good.
This actual sports
was
not as actually good as the backstory for.
Yeah, Dangal, it's just hard because again, I'm also really not into sports.
Yeah, Michael's just not straight up.
Well, to me, it's just crazy when I look at and I know this is real because you like see people get so emotional for someone missing it, and it's like even in the States, like a quarterback gets hurt or he leaves a team or something, people freak out.
Yeah,
it's just like
people get very wrapped up.
They get so emotionally attached.
Or like fantasy football. Then
I don't know. I can't. Well, just like the
fantasy football.
People that like will go home, wear jersey, and eat and be like. If
I
don't know.
There's a thing where if it becomes like your whole life where that's all you think about, that's not. I don't think that's necessary.
Everyone needs a hobby. But
everyone,
for it.
No, we're not saying. We're not saying that it's bad.
Right.
It's
and sports can be very rewarding because you're part of a team.
I played sports.
And playing. I would say playing is. Like a lot more fun than watching for me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm totally all for sports.
Oh, speaking, we should play tennis again, by the way.
Oh that's a good point. Tennis, we gotta get that.
Man,
going.
You gotta join us for that. That's
in the dead of winter.
Tennis is fun.
Oh yeah,
you get a good workout with tennis.
Not exactly nice out.
It is winter.
Well,
there was snow on the ground this week.
If it warms up. But
but overall, I thought this was a decent movie and. Pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and Shah Rukh Khan was really good.
Yeah.
He's emotional. He really, you believe him when he's putting together a speech or like honestly some of his methods too. Those were interesting to watch.
He was
because he almost he basically forced the team to get together and group together.
One of the reasons why I liked it is because it was interesting, like thinking about what are you going to do with this team to break them down to like make them listen to you, because you gotta be given, you gotta be taken seriously.
And then what worked was him basically resigning, and then it showed that they needed to group together and like fight for themselves, and then after that it was like, oh yeah, like we want you back, we want you as our coach. It was interesting that twist.
It was interesting. I actually don't know why that worked, but I'll go with it. You know what I mean?
It
was an interesting method, and it was kind of dangerous because
it was a very ballsy. Like if you missed, like you're just gone. It's like, you don't
like,
want me back.
Well,
you sure you don't want me back? I mean, my play didn't work.
I was just trying something new. Like, can I come back?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a fun movie. I thought the message was good. Yeah, but I think just any sports movie.
You're gonna see some repetitive
but I just think any sports movie generally is usually pretty surface level in terms of just anything like
There's it's interesting because for a sports movie you have to focus on the sport itself, so then that puts everything else on the side. Well, and that's the reason probably why we don't like sports movies as much, because then you can't focus quite as much on the character development or like the like really good dialogue either. I feel like there's not as well. I don't know. I'm kind of going too far on this, but like just certain things you can't really go as deep when you have to have like the main runtime be the actual game itself played. Yeah,
I know. It's one of those things where it's just like it's inherently going to be a little bit more surface level because they have to include all the sports stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like it's hard to you can't get too deep. But I kind of want deep in a movie, so it's
and see, some can do that, like Bang Mica Bang. I thought,
which is why I like
balanced both pretty well. Yeah, and so we're not saying like every sports movie.
Arguably, though, Bang Mica Bang was very much less of a sports movie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because it was less. It was more of his backstory, which some people didn't like about it.
I remember that. Yeah, but I'm still I need to piece together. Sometimes sports movies just kind of run together in terms of
literally
run together. I like it.
But that's not to say all sports movies are. There's some really, really good, even American sports movies that are very, very good, and mostly because the characters are so complex.
Yeah,
that's when
you have to have a complexity.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
which no one really was complex in this story.
Right,
but I think that's most sports movies. But I don't know.
Yeah, but it was also fun to see. Well, also relevant to see, and this is the same occurs even today in terms of women's sports, the popularity versus men's sports.
Right.
Because it's absolutely the case, even in America as well, where the funding for various teams and various sports that women play is very much lower or less popular than. The men's version, which is a bummer. That's very relevant today as it was when this was.
It is weird how it's like some most like a lot of sports there's practically no women's popularity.
Division.
But then there's some sports that randomly do have the women's team. Very like tennis,
very prominent.
Like the women's tennis team
is very
popular.
Isn't that
weird?
Men's, I think
it's funny.
It is. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
So let us know what you think about that in the comments.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of comments.
I like it, guys.
What should we rate it? Let's give our ratings before we.
I think I know what people are gonna rate this.
Ooh. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, I have more to talk about too. So once we get our ratings out.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm in.
Here we go.
Chak to India.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2,
1.
3.5. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
3s and 3.5.
I was between 3 and 3.5 on this one.
Yep.
But I think I rated Milk Bog, or is that how to pronounce it? I think I rated that one 3.5. So this one definitely has to be 3.
So, okay.
Yeah. So there's our ratings.
What
did you watch?
I feel like
Michael's gonna drop a bomb.
A very popular movie. Don't look at Letterboxd, man.
Okay.
I went because I rated it on Letterboxd. So I went to this movie. I think has probably gotten a record.
Talking about. Yes.
For. Did you see my Letterboxd?
No, but I think I know.
I saw one of the movies.
I watched a movie that I think gets the record for being the worst movie I have ever seen.
Never mind. Okay,
it's a brand new movie.
Really?
Came out 2023. John Cena as the star.
Oh no!
Have you heard of it?
Watch it.
You
yes,
haven't?
I heard. It's like 0%. It's like literally
0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Why did
it's
you
called
watch it?
Freelance.
Where did you see it?
We saw it with my father.
Did he voluntarily?
He was like, "Oh, this looks cool.
Let's see a fun movie.
Let's go see a fun movie."
I didn't even know this was.
No one did. It got like $10,000 at the box office. 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
it's
so
his
bad.
John Cena's first.
What made
0%.
it so bad?
Everything. It was shockingly,
plot,
bad.
Acting, everything.
Dude, it was. I can't even describe to you. Wow. Everything was so bad. The writing was so bad.
Oh no.
The acting was so bad. The comedy was so bad.
No. That's not good.
Scene,
if there's no.
There's this scene where John Cena is just like in the back, and he's like the guard, right, for this chick, and she's going to like get an interview with this dictator. And so she sits in the car, and the dictator's like, "Would you like a glass of wine or something?" And she's like, "Sure." And the guard's like, and then he's like, "Oh," and it was just like the worst acting. He was like, "Oh, I'll have one too." It's like, it was just,
I see what you're saying.
You have to watch this movie. It's the worst.
I don't want to see this, bro.
You'll get.
This only has 980 ratings too. It's like on
so
IMDb.
Bad. It is
it
there, and by the way,
cheesy.
He is taking a journalist and he's guarding her the entire movie.
Okay.
Randomly, she tries to seduce him for no reason.
What?
She's like, "How you doing?" And then he's like, "Let's not. I still love her," or whatever.
What?
And it's not really explained why, but it's just, dude. It was.
Oh no! I just
so
saw that
bad.
it said from the director of Taken. I really hope he didn't. Did he
doubt
actually
that.
direct a
get
movie?
Get this, and this is what Sadie was saying too. Sadie's theory on why this movie was so bad. We looked at the writer Jacob Lentz. This is the only movie he has written. He has only. Oh no! He's written some TV
Jimmy
shows.
Kimmel.
He's written, dude.
He's a writer on Jimmy
Kimmel. Look
at
his most recent thing was in 2012. He wrote the Correspondence Dinner.
Wow.
Why did they?
So this is Sadie's theory. This is the thing. This guy is this is the first movie he wrote.
Why did they pull him back in on this when he has
this is
no
the
experience?
First movie he wrote, and the director has made nothing but absolute dog. District B13. I mean, he made Taken.
He did direct Taken.
But he actually directed Taken.
Wow, I'm really surprised.
But here's the
thing.
I don't know if he directed Taken. Here's
the thing. This movie was so bad, and Sadie's theory on why is because of the strike. She was there's a writer's strike in America and an actor's strike.
Got through.
Actor's strike is still going.
Was that John Cena signed to this movie, and her thought is that the writer was not associated with the Writers Guild because this is the first thing he ever wrote.
Yeah.
So she thinks that he just wrote it and is not a part of the guild.
He was like the only person outside of the guild.
Production company bought it, and they were like, "Well, we got nothing. Nothing in the tank. Let's just buy a script out." And they dusted this piece of trash off and threw this in a movie, and it's
it is the director
bad.
Of Taken. Wow.
But dude,
not watching that one.
$40 million budget, gross worldwide is 3.7.
It lost so much money.
It was basically this last week, so it's probably
what production company made this? Because they're
Relativity. I've seen a lot of crappy Relativity.
They just got screwed.
I mean, dude,
I'm
not even kidding. Like you could tell like there were shots that like were from a helicopter live that you just looked at.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like it's a first person shot from a helicopter, and you could tell they filmed it on the helicopter, and you're just like, why are you doing this much for this movie?
Oh my gosh.
It's like is like you do realize like everything about this movie is horrible. What are you doing?
Wow.
Buy a better
rate it
script.
again?
half star. It's the lowest you can rate it. I would rate it a 0 if I could.
It's been a while since you've given a half star.
Dude, you've
actually,
watched this
wait,
movie?
have you ever?
You watch this movie and you will get a brain disease. You will get a disease from your brain. Your eyeballs will fall out. You saw this in theaters. I spent $20.
Oh. No.
And I spent on food at the theater.
Like it?
No.
Okay.
My dad,
okay.
20 minutes. This shows you how bad this movie is. My dad, 20 minutes in, looked at this and he's like, "This movie doesn't look good." And I'm like, "Oh, if my dad is saying that,
yeah, because he normally loves
action, crappy movies. Right? Like, not this. He knew this one was doomed from the beginning.
Wow, that's so funny.
It's,
oh boy,
it is.
Oh my
it should get an Oscar for the worst movie ever made.
Rotten Tomato. Like
there should be that category in the Oscars.
Rottenest piece of crap you've ever seen.
Wow.
All right, fair enough.
Insanely bad. Look at that scene. That's the scene.
No.
Oh, they're just all nude.
And they're
wow. This is that. Wow. Oh my gosh.
So bad.
Well, at least we saw it. We did see a good movie in theaters right before that, The Killer. Which that was also.
And you know what?
Really
after we watched Freelance, Sadie looked at me and she's like, "You know what? I actually did like The Killer."
Yeah.
And like, dude, that's how bad this one was. I thought a lot about that movie, and it's good. Yeah, The Killer. I told her, I was like, "You're watching too good of movies.
Yeah,
you're watching too highly rated movies. You got to watch something like this. This
our
crap.
philosophy.
You realize."
We don't see movies that are lower than 6.1.
We got to start watching this again because then you realize, I'm watching amazing stuff.
Yeah.
You got to go to McDonald's every now and then so you can
realize how
nice food.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
Anyways, all right.
Okay, there's our
that's
rant.
the diatribe for today.
All right, peace out, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Later.